Hello and welcome to episode 32 of Jank It Up Fuzzball. I'm your host, Brian, aka Jank Kanata, Pirate Queen. Why not? I am joined tonight once again by our dear friend, Greg. Greg, how are you this evening?
I am doing amazing, especially all things considered.
All things considered, indeed. Yeah, it's a wild, wild time, and I'm glad you're doing well. I hope everyone out there. I know we both hope everyone out there is doing well, staying safe as we work our way through this. And we're here to maybe provide a little bit of distraction and talk about a game that, if you're listening to this, you probably enjoy, Star Wars Destiny. And I'm excited to talk about tonight's topic. Greg, are you excited?
Yeah, no, I am. I mean, it was a blast to participate in it, so of course I'm excited to talk about it.
Excellent. So, if you've listened to this podcast before, you know that Greg and I hoard boxes when we can get them on the cheap. And we've had a lot of boxes. And one of the first boxes that we bought from the Awakenings block was Spirit of Rebellion. And I didn't get into the game until Legacies. And Greg, you got in the game like either right at the end of Legacies or right when Way of the Force came out. I don't
Yep,
remember exactly when.
no, that's right.
Uh, and so, even though I have some singles from the Awakenings block, I had never experienced really cracking a pack at all. And so we decided, quarantined as we are, that through the power of TTS, we would actually go through a box doing some sealed events. And so you had a box at your house, I had a box at my house. And over the course of, I think we did it 4 straight weekends, right? Over the course of 4 weekends, we would get together like on a Thursday night over Zoom. We would crack some packs. Then we would reconvene a Saturday night on a TTS table to play some sealed events. And I thought it was a lot of fun. What do you think?
No, it was a lot of fun. I wouldn't say you talked me had to talk me into it, but at first I was really like cautious. How is this going to work with sealed over TTS? I mean, already I'm not the biggest TTS fan. I am a convert, but not the biggest fan. But I was a little worried about how sealed was going to work versus constructed.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I mean, we're doing the best with what we have, but I really enjoyed like the Zoom experience of cracking packs together, and I think that made it a little bit more real. It's still not exactly the same. And the other benefit is we had like at least 48 hours usually to think about what we are going to play instead of like right there at the table, put something together and sleeve it up. And that was kind of fun because you could actually make a couple of variations.
Well, there you go. Query: would you be ever interested in doing that in real life? Would you ever say, "Hey, let's have a beer, crack some packs in real life, and then I'll come back on Saturday and we'll actually play these"? I mean, or do you like that excitement of like you have 15 or 20 minutes, you better get it together?
That's a great question. I think two things about that. I think I like the excitement. One thing I like the excitement of doing that just in the moment. At the same time, like my time and my ability to have a friend over and under normal conditions is pretty limited. So like with the family and all that, I don't know if I could get away with saying, "Hey, Greg's coming over 2 times this week to hang out with me," instead of me hanging out with you and
Mm,
talking to my wife.
that's true. I'm a huge disruptor at your house.
You are, and that's okay. That's fine. Uh, but yeah, that's interesting. I think I try to I try to cram as much Greg time as possible when you're over here, right? Because when you do come over, usually you're here for 4 hours. 3 to 5 hours typically is the stay. So at least TTS, it is interesting because we can Zoom for about 45 minutes or an hour, and then 2 days later we'll hop on for a few games, and it doesn't feel as disruptive to the family. Of course, I mean, honestly, what's disruptive nowadays, right? Everything is kind of weird. But that's a great question. Yeah, that's really really interesting. But we're doing the best we can, and so I liked cracking packs, and I liked we didn't have to sleeve anything, so that part was good, right? Because it is TTS, so that was kind of nice. I had to learn how to. I had to buy an adapter to plug directly in to my. I play on my laptop, but I wasn't playing with a internet connection hardwired into my computer. So it was all Wi-Fi, and I turned out that sucked because you said I was pretty laggy first couple of times, and that's unfortunate. So I've learned how to play TTS better, if anything. But I agree, it's not something that I would want to do.
No, no, not the yeah, no, especially well, I could do half, if I do like the excitement of of breaking up the packs and then putting it together right there at night. But I also think that if I had a choice, it would be fun sometimes to do something like a Zoom unpacking, but then an in-person meetup, because nothing can really replace the in-person meetup of actually playing. And I know, and I don't think I said this to you the last time we played Constructed, but I am positive I get burned out faster on playing over TTS. That's just a fact. I can go, 5 or 6 games in person without blinking an eye, batting an eye, whatever the phrase is, but 3 games into TTS, I'm feeling tired.
That's so funny. I'm smiling because while you're talking about that, because I think the last time we played, we got together this past weekend. We played some constructed. I think we played 3 games. Maybe we played a lot. But I remember sitting there thinking, I looked at my watch and I'm like, it's not that late. Like if you were at my house, we would totally play. But I was like,
Oh, yeah.
but I was also like, I'm kind of tired myself. And I said, do you want to play anymore? And we ended up playing one more game. But I totally understand. I agree. It's kind of like we hit 2 or 3 or 4 games, and we're like, okay, that's it. That's as
And
much as I can take.
when you asked me, I hesitated, and I was like, yeah, it's like 11. Sure, yeah, I don't know if you remember this. I said, but I'm not going to play a support deck. I'm going to win or lose fast.
No, I would totally remember it. And I understand. I totally understand. Yeah, it's just different. It's crazy. But I love the idea of, I mean, now I think Zoom and this kind of video conferencing is going to stay with us as a collective society for a while. And so I think that idea is something we could say, hey, let's hop on, let's crack some packs ahead of time. And then, in a few days, come on over, and then we'll actually we won't have to waste any of that time, and we can just roll the dice. And I think that would be cool.
Mhm.
So let's just to recap what we did, because we each had a box, and a box is 36 packs, as you know. And so if you're playing, I don't even know why I'm going to say this, but if you're playing competitively in a sealed event, and there won't be any more of those probably, but you get 9 packs, 9 random packs, and then you work with one of the draft kits. And so what we decided to do is we would do the first 9 packs, and we played with rivals. We played with the rivals kit. The second 9 packs, we would play with allies of necessity. And then the next 18 packs, the final 18 packs, we would open all those at once. And then the individual player, you or me, could choose whichever draft pack we wanted after we looked at our cards. So, either rivals or allies of necessity. And that was our third round. And then for the fourth round, we played as if it were a box tournament where we had all of our cards set aside. So we knew that these cards came from this box. And so we built a deck without either draft kit and played through that. And it was a great way to stretch the boxes out, I think. Any comments on that? I think we both had fun, right?
No, I think we nailed it. Going forward, I would do it the exact same way.
I totally would. I mean, you get. I love sealed, and I've said that a lot on the show. But yeah, I mean, we milked a box for a lot of games. We got a whole lot of games in there, and that was pretty awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and say, if you hear a tiny kitten meowing, it's one of our new cats in the house. We have 2 new kittens in the house, and one is very loud, and that's okay. So anyway, so just if you hear some extra ambiance, that's what it is. So let's think about that first time. So what's exciting about opening a box is there are 6 legendaries in there, and in our first session, we pulled between us we pulled 1 legendary, and it was you. Do you remember what it was?
I do not. Oh, okay, we pulled one legendary total between us. Was
Yes,
it?
I got 0 legendaries in my first
Was
nine
it?
packs, but you
Was it
pulled one.
Force Lightning?
No, it was the red support
I'm
ground
totally blanking.
something.
Oh yes, the big support, the fat support.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
that's right.
what was it? Yeah, I know. It's one
Ah,
that you didn't want to play, obviously.
yeah,
Um,
that's right. That's right.
and I think that was our one of our first one of our first impressions of this, having played like Convergence and Legacies, is that a lot of things are expensive. Like characters are expensive in terms of their point
Mhm.
value, and then just some of the big cards are expensive. So we cracked 9 packs apiece. You pulled a legendary. I think it's like 5 cost. It was some
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, U-wing.
There you go. So
Yeah,
it was,
U-wing.
yeah. So it was nuts. And but then we built our teams. And do you remember who you played?
I do. I played emo Darth Vader,
Oh, right,
um,
right.
and
Yeah, yeah.
and Ketsu and Jawa Scavenger. So of course the story there was that I didn't pull a red character at all, and I was trying to make things work with the characters I did pull, and I felt Vader was so strong that I had to play him, and that just kind of set the stage for the rest of them.
Yep. I ended up playing Lobot, Ketsu Onyo, and Royal Guard. So Royal Guard was the one character that I pulled that I ended up playing with, and I had to go with Ketsu and Lobot, and that was okay. Um, and I think that was our only out of the first 3 rounds. I think that was the only thing that went to the third game. If I'm maybe mistaken, but I remember that being pretty tight back
It
and
was
forth
it was it
between.
was 3 games, yeah, and yeah, I remember
Yeah.
the first game you crushed me. definitely. And then, you were feeling pretty good, I think. And
I
then
was, yeah.
and then I came back, and you really started to get truly scared by Vader at that point, I think.
Yeah, that Vader. What's funny is a lot of these characters, obviously, they're no longer in rotation, and I don't have a lot of familiarity with them. You don't either, but it's just neat to see. You kind of anticipate, like in a sealed event, anybody can be powerful, and that Vader is pretty scary. Is his Doesn't he have like 4 damage sides? I mean, he has a
He has
lot.
4 damage sides,
Yeah,
and, yeah, that special is pretty brutal, which I think I managed to pull it off a few times, so
yeah, yeah. Not fun at all. But I ended up taking that one. I won the third game, and so I left on a high note, which was pretty exciting for me. What were some of the other do you remember I have my decks pulled up
mhm.
in the database, but do you remember any cards that you were like, "Wow, this is a really fun, uh, yeah,
Well,
spirit of rebellion card."
granted that was our first game, so it was the longest. It was very long ago, and I definitely supplemented heavily. I think I used every card in Rivals, so I wasn't feeling that great about my what I drafted from the first 9 packs. So the only thing that really came out of it that was amazing, I would say, is I pulled in those first 9 packs 2 copies of Friends in Low Places. So
Oh, man.
and that,
Yeah,
of course, yeah, drove you nuts. So
it did. It did.
yeah,
You being able to play both those, and that's such a that is we'll get to our highlights, but that card has stayed with me, just in playing the game. It's such an amazing card, and so, if you're not familiar, do you have it pulled up? Or
I do.
I can
I do.
yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
It's a spot a yellow character to look at an opponent's hand and discard an event from it that costs 1 or less, which in this block is tons of events. So,
Tons of events, right, it's crazy. There's so many zero cost events,
yeah,
especially in yellow. There's just so much stuff.
I know. I
Uh,
wonder if that should be the title of this episode is zero cost events because we kept going. This is also zero cost.
right, it's
Well,
amazing. It's nuts. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a great card. I ended up pulling 2 of those in my box, but I don't think I had any, I don't see it pulled up here in my, in this first match, but that's okay. But we had bait and switch. Bait and switch is such this
mm,
kind of a I mean, it's one of those great cards from the Awakenings block where you can, has ambush and you turn one of your dice to showing a resource to any side. So if you have a resource out there, you could flip it to damage or something else. And I pulled one of those. So I was excited. Having not pulled a legendary, like here's a card that I know is a good card, and so that was kind of fun. I honestly don't remember if I used it or not, but it's
yeah,
cool
the
to have.
same thing. So I actually did pull 2 of those as well, and I really think I maybe used it once. I think I used them more in the our box tournament, but I was excited about it just like you, but I also was playing one character without a resource side, so that didn't help a lot either.
Didn't
So
help a lot. No, no.
yeah.
I pulled a con artist, which is a weird upgrade, and it's yellow character only, but it has like a two disrupt, and then it has a discard and a couple of specials, which just place the damage on this upgrade and then discard the cards. But I remember getting that down on Ketsu quickly and then actually hitting that two disrupt like once or twice and just either threatening to remove all your money or taking all your money. And that was pretty huge
Mhm.
early on. It was pretty fun. And then the other card I want to mention is I pulled a Vibro Knucklers, which is a yellow weapon. It's a 3 cost and it has ambush when you play it. But before you resolve this die, you may spend a resource to increase its value by 1. And it has like a 1 melee, 2 melee, discard, and then 2 discards. So that was kind of fun to get on the table. Yeah, I don't know. It was good. And I won the night. I was feeling pretty awesome with Royal Guard, Lobot, and Ketsuonya. So I can't complain. But yeah, I'm looking over my list and there's a whole bunch of rivals in this
Yeah, it
list.
was
So
it really was 100%. The only one I also that I would mention is just because it's a fun zero cost upgrade, which was life debt, and I knew that would help me because I knew you were going to go for Vader. So life debt is a yellow character only. After you act, it's a zero cost upgrade. After you activate this character, you may move 1 damage from another character to this character. So
yeah,
that helped me keep Vader alive a little longer by putting some damage on Ketsu. And I think there was one game definitely where I may have had like 2 on Ketsu, and then at some point I moved put had 4 damage on her from that, and you were just like, well, okay, Ketsu is you. I think you switched targets because you were just like it was so tempting to just finish off Ketsu because you were able to maybe one shot her or come very close, and
yeah.
yeah. So but hey, that kept Vader alive a little longer, so
It did, it did. So that was cool, and like I said, we there was so much reading, but between 2 of us, just like when we cracked the packs and then we're playing, it's just like, "What does this do?" But it was fun. All right, so second time we switched draft kits, and so we went with Allies of Necessity. We pulled 9 more packs, and I think you pulled, like, a lot of legendaries. I think you got 4 legendaries out of those 9 packs, which was
I did, I remember,
nuts.
yeah, that was the next 4. Now, how many did I actually play?
1.
I think just 1,
I
but,
think just 1. Do you remember what your, legendaries were?
I think they were just characters. I definitely like Krennic, right? Was
Yeah,
a
you pulled a
legendary.
Krennic, uh-huh.
Yeah, and maybe another character which I can't recall, but,
Old Obi-Wan. I think it was
yeah,
old
old
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan and,
Yeah.
Force Lightning, which I did play,
You did play, yeah, you got that
and
down on the table.
I'm blanking on the last one.
Yeah, I forget too, who knows? We
Yeah,
could look it up, but
yeah,
yeah, they were all expensive, right? They were all, like, super pricey things, which is
mhm.
kinda nuts. And then, what was your character pairing?
Oh, so my character pairing was, Dooku and Fenrir, of course, they're great, and then my character from the draft was, Guavian Enforcer, who I ended up man, I really liked him. I would play that character in Infinite. He was pretty great. He's only 8 points, but he's got 9 health. He's got some good or unusual yellow sides of range and plus resources, but his action, which I did use on you a couple times, is pretty cool because if you roll a quote unquote useless resource or range or blank side, sorry, you can the action is remove this die to remove 1 shield from a character. So that's kind of a nice. So it's like a guaranteed 1 damage ping, no matter
Yeah.
what.
Yep.
If as long as your opponent has shields, which happens a lot, especially in the beginning of the game. So
Absolutely. I pulled my first legendary, and it was probably the chase legendary of the set, at least remaining. I pulled Force Speed, which was super
mhm.
awesome. Um, I ran Dooku just like you, and I ran FN2199. So I pulled a copy of FN, which is awesome. And I pulled an Outer Rim Smuggler, so not the outlaw from the draft kit, but the Outer Rim Smuggler. And that was it. It was pretty cool. I had, like I said, I had 4 speed, which I got down the table once, but I'm looking at most of my other upgrades are all from Allies of Necessity. And let's see, anything else? E-web emplacement support turned to be, I pulled 2 of those in the box, but I had 1 here, which is pretty great. Um, I know we've talked about this, but we may not have talked about it on air. But do you have a like when you think at rivals and you look at Allies of Necessity, do you favor one or the other? They both have like obviously some great cards in them, but
I think, what I've told you before, which I mean, I favor Alloy as a necessity just because I like a lot of the upgrades in Rivals more.
uh-huh.
Although I know Allies has Electro Sword, which is great, but I love a lot of the upgrades in there. And you know what? Sure, who doesn't love Fang Fighter? But but I think the characters and allies. I mean, Dooku and Fenrir are just top notch.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Yeah,
and the supports are really you know, higher muscle, of course, is great,
sniper team.
and sniper team,
Yeah,
yeah, those 2 are just amazing. But, you know, it's I think that so, yeah, it probably takes the cake, you know, right?
yeah.
I don't know does it feel like I'm betraying something by saying I guess because, you know, Rivals to me has Vibrasword and Crafted, and, those are great weapons in
And
draft.
hidden motive. I mean, it's
And
got
hidden motive, oh
yeah.
gosh, yes, hidden motive. That's a good point because Hours of Necessity doesn't really have those, like, those events that are just like, bam, you know, it doesn't have those crazy events like Hidden Motive does, or Hidden Motive is. So,
I think it's an interesting discussion to have. Obviously, that's true. But what's also interesting, and we could talk about this later, is that with either draft kit, like indirect damage is a side on these dice, and with the rest of the set, there was no indirect damage until the legacies block. So there's only melee and ranged, and so it's kind of interesting to see that. A couple of other cards that I pulled that I pulled a Friends in Low Places, like we talked about. I pulled a Loth Cat and Mouse, which has been reprinted and covert missions. But a card that I think we both kind of made fun of right up until you used it effectively on me was 1/4 portion, which is it costs 1. You remove an opponent's die, and then you give that opponent 1 resource, or well, they gain 1 resource. So you spend a resource, you get to remove their die, but then they gain a resource. And we're like,
mhm.
how bad a removal is this? But when you're playing sealed, you gotta dance with the partner that brought you, right? So man,
It
I
was
just every yeah,
what a metaphor. It's,
yeah,
it was, so the reason also that it made such an impressive entrance is I don't think I initially won a game with it, but I definitely saved a character with it. Like,
yeah.
you had a death blow on a character, and I pulled that out, and you were like, really?
Yeah.
And it was something too that was, kinda restricted, like, if I had had I might have been your, like, your eWeb support or something. I feel like I remember it was something that I couldn't get rid of if it had been a character specific removal, and I just was like, "Oh, this is gonna save my life," and yeah, and it definitely did, so
It did, and I think yeah, it hurt so bad 'cause I just imagine that card being like the 29th or 30th card in the deck, right? Where you're like, "I really don't have anything else to put in here, so we'll put in, this card, 1/4 portion."
that's
But
exactly what it was.
yeah, yeah. Can we talk about Relentless Pursuit? Because I think that's an amazing card.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
we both had it that round.
yeah, so it's a 0 cost, move up to 2 damage from opponent's character to another character, and of course, that ignores shields. I mean,
Mhm,
the mind whirls when you think about being able to compare that with indirect damage, but at the time the card was printed, there was no indirect damage, right? So,
mhm,
but for these kinds of things, I thought it was super great to just be able to suddenly, reassign 2 damage for a kill sometimes for
mhm.
lethal on another character. It's such a great card.
And I believe that won me a game, didn't it? Because you had, is that the round that you had FN like, with, armor plating on and with shields or something?
Yes.
Yes, so I
Oh my
think you
gosh. Yes. Now it
I
comes
think
back. I had FN with yeah,
2
armor plating
shields
on.
and armor plating.
Yeah, I thought he was indestructible, and then you're like, "Relentless Pursuit," he dies, and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
sad."
that was a, you came close to doing the flip the table button
Right, yeah,
TK.
yeah, so we didn't even talk about who won that round, but you handily won that round, 2 games to 0, like, I got nothing out of I was feeling really good about it, but yeah, I got nothing.
That first game especially, it was the and that now I'll just segue into talking about my favorite cards, definitely Imperial Discipline, which getting that upgrade on Fen Rao was nuts, which because the action on that the die is fine, but the action is remove this die to turn one of this character's character or upgrade dice to a side showing range damage or a resource. So it's just constant dice fixing for Fen Rao. And then combine that with, C3PO, which had that his action was remove this die to resolve one of your dice as if it were showing a different symbol, which yeah meant that anything I had on the board was you know was damaged. So yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
I was super jealous of that pull. I mean, I know I'm the guy who pulled 4 speed, but still, like, I don't have that version. I don't have that C-3PO, and it's such a that is when that die is in the pool, it's always like, you have to pay attention because, things can change in a hurry. It's crazy. Anyway, I interrupted. What else? Any other cards you got?
No, I think and by the way, I think the one time it really shined that C3PO is I think I got to use it on hired muscle. So I think that's what I got to do. I used it on like the 3 disrupt or the 2 discard side on hired muscle and was able to resolve that as damage, and that was great. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome.
Like I said, it was a 2-0 U, and I don't remember either game being particularly close. And you killed, you sniped FN out of nowhere because he had shields and he had armor on, and none of that mattered when you relentless pursuit. It was amazing. So
Top deck.
very good. Yeah, that's it. So then we went to the second half of the box. So we opened up 18 packs. I knew I had 5 legendaries to go. I knew you only had 1 legendary to go, and that's good for me. So we did that. We I forgot what your legendary was.
Okay, last one?
Yeah, do
Oh,
you
I
remember?
remember because it was awesome. Maz's, goggles.
Oh, that's right.
Uh,
Oh, so you pulled a good one. Yep,
yeah, that
yep.
was super useful. Yeah.
That's awesome. So my other legendaries that I pulled, Old Man Obi-Wan, which you have, right? So between the two of us, we have Elite Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mhm,
I pulled the Z6 Riot Control Baton, so that's FN's weapon, which is pretty awesome. I pulled IG-88, another big character, right? That's like a 15, 20 point character. I pulled Bowcaster, so it's a 4 cost hero upgrade. And then I pulled Quad Jumper, which is a 3 cost support. So I certainly put the Riot Baton in the deck, and I think I even put the Bowcaster in the deck just because I needed some stuff.
mhm.
But yeah, other than that, it's it was wild because we had twice as many packs and we could choose any draft kit.
Mhm.
What draft kit did you go with, and what was your team?
I went with Alice, as I said again, and a bit repetitive, but I was playing Dooku and Fenrir again, but this time instead of the Guavi Enforcer, I pulled Maz. So, and
Oh,
and I do think I think that hurt you the second round is you pulled her and you didn't play her, and I was just like, and after looking at this character, I was like. she is amazing. I was like in love with her size and her ability, and it's her activate ability, which is after you activate this character, you may resolve it to two of your dice, and that just was so much fun. Because especially if she rolled the focus, then you could turn and resolve. So it was nice action cheating. So yeah, and yeah, the Allies of Necessity kit, I went with that one definitely.
Yeah, I think you showed me the way with Maz there. I think in the previous round, I was so infatuated with FN that I was like, I need FN and I wanted Dooku because I had a 4 speed, and Maz didn't make the cut. I don't know. Or maybe that's just my stupid excuse. I'm not sure. But I ran another weird team. It was such a, for me, it was such a non-memorable event. I'm looking at my team, my list here, and I'm like, did I really run that? And I guess I did. I ran Finn Rao. I ran the Outer Rim Outlaw. So I also ran Allies and Necessity. And then I ran TIE Pilot. So TIE Pilot is 8 cost, but he has a really aggressive die that's just a bunch of modified ranged. And with Finn Rao, I thought that would be really, really good. And when his die is in the pool, when the TIE Pilot's die is in the pool, your other die showing range damage cannot be removed. So he has a little bit of safety built in. But once again, I got swept. I went 0-2. You just crushed me.
I did, but that was definitely closer than the second round. And
Yeah.
that TIE pilot was annoying enough, and I don't know if you recall, but after the first game, the second game, I went for the TIE pilot first, which is ridiculous. But that ability is so frustrating because you're just sitting on removal, useless removal until his die is gone. And you knew this, of course. You're a good player, so you just left that die in no matter what, you know. So you just kept building your all your range damage up, and I couldn't do anything about it. So after that, the TIE fighter went. He was priority number 1 after that.
Yeah, I was a little bit shocked. I mean, it's not. I shouldn't be surprised, but yeah, that second game, you were very decisively like
Oh, I killed that
2
guy,
damage into the tie, 2
right?
damage into the tie. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, yeah,
I put, like,
he,
4 or 5 damage into him round 1. He had, like, 2 life left.
yeah. He did not. He was not long for this world. What were some of the other fun cards you had in your deck, Greg?
So I think, I think I definitely that game got to use the both power actions on Dooku and Fenrir a little more, so I was excited by a little bit more, like I had, Undying Loyalty, which is I had 2 of those, which is a 0 cost red event, which heals 1 damage from a red character. And then it has a little ability about you can spend one resource to put it on top of your deck from the discard pile. Um, and so I got to spin a little more red, but we both were rocking air superiority, which prolonged games definitely, which is the 1 cost support, which you put shields on it and you can exhaust it to move shields onto your characters. And I think that was a fun treat. And I think you even fetched it out of your discard pile, or was that the next round? I can't.
Yeah, I don't know, but I definitely ran 2 of them in this
Yeah, that's
deck.
right, you have 2 of them, yeah, and that was annoying, and, so yeah, Maz and her goggles, I definitely got her Maz's goggles on Maz at one point, and so just focus city, and, and I definitely, I think I also had a good play, I mean, I'm just bragging at this point, but I definitely got to focus, I think, Electro Sword and resolve it, and that was, I got, like so I got, like, an unblockable 3 somewhere in there, and I remember that being a good play. But that's an Allies of Necessity card, and I think we were both excited that we pulled armor platings because it's a card we're familiar with, and we both pulled a copy.
Yep, yep.
And yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, that's kind of sad that I mentioned some Allies of Necessities card and not some rebellion card, but I did rock 2 of the 1/4 portions. I pulled 2 more,
Oh no.
and, I think there was a time where I used both of them in 1 round, and you, yeah, were cursing a lot. But hey, you had a lot of money, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, that's true. And what did I have? I had the 2 air superiorities. I had an armor plating. I had just some weird. I pulled a couple of doubts in my box. I had a doubt that was cool.
That's true.
I pulled a friends in low places for this. That was great. I pulled another Lothcat and mouse. I pulled 2 rebel assaults. So for this deck, rebel assault is a 0 cost red card. It says play only if you have 1 or more dice showing range damage, and you can remove an opponent's die not showing damage.
Yeah,
So
that was great.
yeah, I would use it for anything, right?
I've got that in constructed decks now since it was reprinted. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. It certainly shined through for that. And yeah, swiftness was a card where you can play for 1. It has ambush, and it gives the next card you play ambush. I think we saw that
Mhm.
a couple times, but yeah, I just got crushed in terms of. I remember, I don't know if it was this because you played a lot of Dooku, so I don't know if it was this one or the last one, but one game you had his sword on him, his lightsaber, and it's just like you rolled him out. It's like 2 plus 2. It's like
It was
you
a
just rolled the sticks, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take care of it.
Yeah, there was
And
one round definitely where, yeah, it was like Dooku sticks. I didn't even need to use Maz's, like, guns, it was or focus, sorry, I just rolled the guns and the sticks, and it was devastating, but yeah, no, and Dooku's power action definitely kept things interesting with a lot of discard going on.
yep, yeah, yeah. So good times, good times. And so I won the first round, and then I lost 4 straight games, and that's okay. But then we did the whole box. So we did not use a draft kit. Under the rules, you can use as many copies of a card as you pulled, and I think you mentioned you pulled like at least 3 1/4 portions. I don't know, but I pulled zero 3 copies of a card. Like I have
Which is
several.
crazy to me. I
Oh,
pulled
crazy!
so
Right?
many.
Did you really? Oh man.
Yeah, I had so many in my final janky, deck that I showed up with, for the final box. I had, 1, 2, 3 I had 3 copies, yeah.
What were those?
Oh, bait and switch, which
Yeah,
for the deck I was running was perfect. Long con, which was nerfed, but I still thought I could pull it off because of my characters, discarding, and your favorite, 1/4 portion, so
Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah. That's nuts. So before we get into what we actually played, I do want to mention that I only pulled one elite character. I pulled Chirrut. So I pulled 2 copies of Chirrut. And then I pulled 2 TIE pilots. So they can't be elite, but I did pull 2 of those. How about you? Did you pull any elite characters or multiple copies of a non-unique character?
yeah, so I definitely pulled 2 copies of the Guavian Enforcers, which was great because I loved it, and I pulled Elite Unkar Plut. I have no idea if I'm saying that right,
Yeah, yeah.
which was tempting to run, as an el like, him Elite and my other Elite, which was oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. Luminara. Yeah, Luminara. So I actually could have played Elite Luminara and Elite Unkar Plut, but that was just so little health, and I couldn't really see
Yeah.
that it was to my advantage. So I,
Right.
of course, did not do it. But yes, yeah. So I got a two elites and 2 non-unique characters. So
Right. And then between us, I think we each pulled a Maz, right?
correct.
Did you pull a Jin?
I did pull a Jin.
And we each pulled an Aura Singh. We
Hmm.
each pulled Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I think we saw a little bit of overlap between us. And this is only 2 boxes. There's plenty of cards that we did not pull, but it was cool that we did. So who was your box team? What'd you run?
All right. So my strange box team, because once I actually put my box together without the assistance of a draft kit, I realized I was in some trouble. So so the number one thing to note about my pulls was that I pulled 2 red characters out of the entire box. So
Man, I don't think I knew that until right now.
yeah,
Only
no,
two.
only 2 red characters.
Holy cow!
All I pulled was a Krennic, who is basically unusable because he's like a million points,
Yep.
and it would have been a 2 die start. And then and then the other one was
Snap
Wexley?
Wexley, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wexley.
yeah.
And so I built a deck with Wexley, but Wexley, Vader, and Maz, and I was not in love with it. That was the deck I was gonna play, and I just was yeah, so Vader, Wexley, and Maz, and I was playing around with it. I did some test rolls, and honestly, I hated it. Yeah, I did not feel it was very good, and I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna lose with this deck. It's so gross. I said, without my crutch of Dooku and Fen Rao, I'm in trouble. So I went full jank, and I and I actually built a deck around Aura Singh and 2 Guavian Enforcers, so a mono yellow draft.
I mean, I tip my hat in a major way, right? You have an entire box of cards and you went mono yellow.
I
That's pretty
did.
impressive.
I had amazing yellow cards, and they were my strongest cards, with the exception of like a red upgrader support here and there. And I just was like, you know what? If I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna go down playing an awesome deck. And there was good synergy though between a lot of these cards and the characters. I mean, Aura Singh, of course, has 3 range sides, and the Guavian Enforcers have 3 range sides, also with their modifiers. And I just felt like, you know what? Why not? So.
Yeah, no, I think so. And Aura's saying, you can discard a card to increase her damage sides, and so
Mhm.
it's always a threat. So that's interesting. So I actually I learned from watching you. So I included Maz Kanata in my last round. So I had Chirrut FN2199 and Maz Kanata. And I do want to say that I had 3 blue characters in my box. I think that's right. 4, I'm sorry. I had super expensive Obi-Wan, who I wasn't gonna run. I had Luminara, which she's also pretty expensive, right? And then I had Elite Chirrut and I had Royal Guard. Uh, but in order for me to get, like, Rainbow, I had to run Chirrut, or he was the best, or Royal Guard, but neither one of those can have blue abilities. So this means that in my box deck, I could not include Force Speed, which is like the best card of everything in my box. I couldn't run it because it's a blue character only and it's an ability. So it can't be played on Chariot. It can't be played on Royal Guard. So that kind of sucked. but
Mhm.
but I ran FN2199 again. I ran Chariot. I ran Maz. I had a lot of health. And yeah, I had a much better time this time around.
Yes.
So
No, you and now it's my turn to say, yeah, I went 0 and 2. The first game, my I had some good synergy and it actually worked, I think, really well in a lot of ways. But you milled me, I think, if
yep,
I recall correctly.
I did. I just stayed alive. I had so
And
much health. Yeah.
And yeah, FN is a tank. I mean, I would say if we're looking back on these decks from the sealed event, I mean, the MVPs were him and Maz. They really were like the two most powerful characters from our boxes. Um, because yeah, he just tanked so hard, and you were healing him, shielding him up, and I just couldn't get him down most of the time. And then actually, yeah, I just ran out of cards because yeah, you stayed alive, and I didn't use Aura Singh's ability that much, but of course, I'm sure I used it at least once or twice, and that also kind of
Yeah.
discarded a card or two to make that work. And yeah, so I had good health. That was definitely true because I walked into it with 28 health. I walked in with 28 health, but yeah, so I just felt like yeah, this is not gonna work. I just felt like I couldn't hang, so I switched. I completely switched my entire deck for the second round to the rainbow deck that I had built.
Right. With Snap Wexley and Vader
Yeah,
and Maz, right?
yeah, yeah, and if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done it because I had a lot more fun playing the mono yellow deck. I just wanted to like, hey, have a shot at winning, and it was a mistake because I think
Yeah.
you really destroyed me the second game.
Yeah, I don't remember it being that much, and I did, yeah, that was not a Bill game, I just blew through your team there,
Mhm,
it's cool, but I had some good stuff, like, I had I had FN, I had his riot baton. I know I struggled to play that correctly because there's all these things, these triggers between FN and there's triggers on his riot baton, and so that was a little crazy. A card I didn't mention earlier, but I pulled Vibro Knife, which is a
mhm.
really cool it's a gray weapon, 1x, 1x plus 2x. Has ambush and damage dealt by it is unblockable, or it modifies. So that was really awesome. So anytime you can threaten unblockable damage, it's super good. So
Yeah, no, it was really powerful, and one upgrade we forgot to mention from which I rocked, I think a little bit in our fun game, which we haven't talked about yet, but also I think I got it out in the first round of play, which was a lone operative. So that was a fun upgrade.
it is. It's a super fun. It's like 3 costs. So I don't know how you'd pay for it now, but yeah, especially if you're down to one character, it just does some amazing stuff, and it certainly kept you around in those games when you had it down.
Mhm.
It
It's
was
it's
good. So
it's a sweet card, yeah.
yeah, I ran 1 copy of Bait and Switch, even though I had 2. I read 2 eWeb emplacement supports. I ran R2D2. I pulled the R2D2 support, so that was always fun to get out. 2 copies of Doubts, 2 copies of Friends in Low Places, 2 Rebel Assault, 2 Spirit or Rebellion, and then 2 Undying Loyalty. So, like I said, I didn't pull 3 copies of anything, but it was still pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a fun game even though I got it handed to me. It was still a lot of fun.
It was fun. And then afterwards, I kind of pressured you into saying, "Hey," because I wanted to play with a big character. So I said, "Hey, could we make a fun, like big little 3 dice start deck?" And I would quote unquote borrow. I asked to borrow your Obi Wan Kenobi, so I built a deck with Obi Wan Kenobi, and you borrowed my Aura Singh. I believe that's right, right? And
Mhm,
so
yeah.
after we were done with the box tournament, we basically built a completely other deck, but only 3 dice start. So I ran Obi Wan and FN2199. What did you run?
So I ran Elite Aura Singh and Asajj, and and uh,
Right.
and it was my female bounty hunter duo and it was pretty fun.
It was yeah, I mean, you took me down pretty quickly. I did get to run all my fun, Force Heal, Force
Mhm.
Illusion, Force Speed. I ran, even though I pulled 2 of them, I only ran 1 copy of, Ben Kenobi's yearbook or, Journals of Ben Kenobi. What a silly card, but that's fine. So I wanted to run it. So if you've never seen this card, I don't blame you, but it's a 1 cost, hero upgrade. It's +1x, resource, resource, miss, 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 but it has an action, remove this die to draw a card. So, you can get it on one of your characters, roll it in, and then pull a card. So
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that upgrade, called it Obi-Wan's Diary and things like that.
yeah,
It
all
was,
kinds of things, but yeah, Aura Singh is no joke. I mean, she
no,
was
so
tough.
so she redeemed herself that fun game from compared to the draft set. She
Yeah,
she was really destroying, and I think I can't recall, like, I don't know if you almost had her dead, and then I got lone operative on her, and it started rolling hell like the special, which would allow me to heal her
yeah,
back up, and yeah, after that, I think, yeah, it was over with the heals coming out. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. To have that duo. I'm glad I picked that one. I had another one in the hopper, which I don't quite recall now, but it was a lot of fun. I had good healing and good zero cost cards, and I feel like, yeah, that was the other thing. Money was just no problem with them. I was just cashing in upgrades and things like that like crazy. So it was fun.
yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, and I enjoyed playing the big legendary Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's weird that he's a guardian, so it's like, I mean, he's my big character, but his die sides are awesome. Um, and it says before this character is defeated, you may play a blue card from your hand or discard pile for free. I don't remember what I played, but I feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi, or maybe he didn't die first. Maybe you took out FN. I don't know, but I remember losing. So there you go.
No, I definitely took him out first. I mean, you were tanking him with Guardian, and I just was. And I think you also loaded him up with upgrades, and it was just kind of a
Easy
obvious
target.
choice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just went for it and decided to stick with it. And his dice weren't nearly as scary as his tankiness. Yeah, he was you were healing and shielding him up good.
So yeah, like we got a lot of games out of this
Mhm.
box. I mean,
Oh
that's for
yeah,
sure.
so
Right?
many. Yeah.
And it's so awesome. And we have a lot of boxes to go, but I'm all for this kind of format of kind of spreading it out. And yeah, yeah, I think I mentioned I pulled a Force Illusion too, so that was pretty awesome. So Force Illusion is that great card. Did you pull one? I'm
I
trying to
did
think.
not.
Okay.
Oh no, I did. You're right. You're right. I did pull Force
Yeah,
Solution. That was
so
great.
yeah, Force Illusion is great. So before a attached character takes damage, you may discard cards from the top of your deck equal to that damage to block it. So that was pretty awesome. Um, yeah. So any other highlights just from the, or what do you think? Let's talk about the style of play of Spirit of Rebellion. So this is our first. I know it's the middle block in the Awakenings block, but it's our first time to really deep dive into pre Legacies. Uh, what do you think?
So I liked it. I mean, it was the zero cost events are a lot of fun. There's the cards that have like kind of an action or some sort of tie in to the discard pile or copies of it, which was honestly a little confusing. Maybe an expert can tell me, but I was kind of like, there's was there something in the set or in that block that allowed for more than two cards? Because Double Down showed up much later, so I'm not quite sure. But there was so much of the that kind of like, oh, if one of these copies is in the discard pile, so in draft, that's a lot of fun because it could happen. And let's see what else. I think the supports were overall just pretty disappointing. Everything was super expensive and not that amazing. There was a couple cards like that too. The other legendary I pulled, was that rocket launcher, which
Yeah,
I just kind
super
of
expensive.
I
Yeah.
just kind of stare at every single side as a cost, and I just kind of stared at it dumbfounded when I pulled it. I'm like, I feel like I got ripped off, and so yeah, kind of someone who came into the game later, definitely didn't necessarily appreciate some of the high cost stuff. I'm sure it was great if you got to play, and then of course the characters. So it seemed like maybe just like our last game that we played for fun. I wonder how much Big Little there was going on because you had these it seemed like so many characters that were 16, 20, fif- 15, 18, things like that. So I wonder if that was a lot of the style of play was Big Little.
I think it was. I remember if you think back to what I hear about like the first worlds, I believe it was like Vader Raider, so like Elite Darth Vader and then Tusken Raider. So that's a big little. But yeah, I mean, it is a little disappointing because you got a Krennic, which I was super excited for you. I'm like, wow, Krennic, I've heard such great things about him. But like Krennic and Obi-Wan and I pulled an IG-88 and they're like 15 single die, 20 double die. You're like, oh my gosh, this is insane, right? Now, a lot of these point values have been adjusted down in the holocron, which is nice to see. But yeah, there's a lot of like for all the zero cost events, there are a lot of expensive cards elsewhere, like whether they're upgrades or supports or characters. It's kind of nuts.
Battlefields.
Yeah.
Interesting
What about it?
battlefields. Yeah, had some
Yeah.
interesting battlefields, definitely. There's I wasn't expecting there to be some a lot of things like you claim and you get to what is it like play a support for -1 reduced costs,
Oh yeah,
or
we use that one a lot.
and there was one
Yeah.
about was there one about I can't remember if there's one for discarding or something. I don't know. I was impressed by the battlefields. I was like, those are some cool, clever battlefields actually. So yeah, so it was fun. I mean, of course, there are battlefields that were in the later blocks that were just amazing. Like that, and ones that of course had to be nerfed, like Theed. But it still was really fun, weird, quirky battlefields.
Right. Docking Bay, I think you're referencing. So you
Yes.
claim and you can play a support from your hand or your discard pile, decreasing its cost by one. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then or a cargo hold, move an upgrade from a character to another character controlled by the same player, which is weird offense and defense ability.
Yeah, yeah. So you could, yeah, exactly. You could move an upgrade from an opponent's healthy character to their weakened character, or you could just kind of shift things over. Um, yeah, I think I pulled honestly like 7 or 9. It's one of those numbers, battlefields in my box, and that's just like holy cow. There are a lot of battlefields uh, in Spirit of Rebellion. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of and I don't, we never. I meant to play this, and I just was worried about money. I think in one time, but Maz's Castle, which is like draw 2 cards, place any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck, which is kind of a fun way to like kind of get a preview and then just you know
Yeah.
discard away. So I thought that was actually pretty cool too.
I'm flipping through some cards and just looking at what other cards that I didn't mention that I really like, but like Lightsaber Throw, such a
Oh gosh.
great card, right? It's one cost. If you have one or more dice showing an X, you play it. It's just 2 damage to a character. I mean, it's
What
amazing.
I what I remember about that card is it took us a couple tries to get to use it because I think one of us, pitched it for a reroll because we were just desperate, and I think another time it got discarded out of one of our hands, and I think finally one or both of us finally pulled it off, and it was so satisfying
Yeah,
because we were so
super.
excited that we each got one, and then it felt like we every time we tried to play it, something happened.
Yeah, super good. Yeah, we each pulled a Jin Urso, like a character. I think this Jin looks really great, but it's just too expensive, right? 15, 20. Or Sing, I think that's awesome. And then I pulled, yeah, like I said, I'd love to play the big IG-88, but who knows? So overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I've heard that Awakenings is like an awesome set because it's the first, and I've heard that Empire at War is kind of messy, but I know we have Empire at War boxes. I think we do,
So
and
many
so
Empire War
yeah,
boxes.
yeah, yeah. So we're gonna get our fix on at that at some point. But yeah, I was, given where we're all doing, like the whole COVID-19, we're all hunkering down. This was great, Greg, to really, for me, just mentally having something to look forward to it because we've played Destiny every Saturday night for like the last 5 or 6 weeks, and it's been really great to just, I don't want to take it for granted, but it's been really good to look forward to that. And taking a box of 36 packs and then just kind of spreading it out and doing the Zoom where we crack the packs. It's been nice to have that kind of connection. And I know it's a quote unquote dead game, but I also know there are TTS tournaments going on through like Entourage Gaming and Artificery and all that. But it's been I really enjoyed just rolling some virtual dice because that's the best we can do. But I really enjoyed Spirit of Rebellion. I hope not that I have another box of it, but if we can find another box cheap, then I'd definitely
Oh
jump
yeah,
on that.
yeah. That's I still will. I mean, I think back sometimes and I'm just like, you know what? It's a little bit of money, but for the hours and hours of enjoyment I've gotten out of these discounted boxes, it's worth it.
It's
You know.
worth it, yeah, and I agree that I think we can take a box and then spread it out over 4 different events. I mean, that's you get a lot of bang for your buck that way, right? So,
It's true. I think my favorite part of this, is yeah, it is almost like new sets for me. I mean, we got to admit we bought a lot of Way of the Force boxes.
we did.
Because which is amazing considering how few legendaries we cracked from it that were different. Like I've still never gotten a Snoke. even
Right.
even though I have purchased like 6 boxes of Way of the Force and I've never cracked a Snoke but I did get an Old Man Luke, which is pretty sweet.
That's
Um,
sweet.
but yeah, but so this was like, and of course, I'm sure the rest of the Awakenings block will be the same. It's like a new set. I have not seen these cards 100 times. I have not, had Brian beat me down with them 100 times. These are brand new cards and new set, and a lot of it's characters that I haven't got to play before, or they're just very, very, very different versions of the characters that I know, the kind of first iterations, and so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
First of all, you're really nice because, I feel like you're leading the head-to-head matchup by far in terms of all-time Destiny play, but cool. I agree, this is something I didn't say, so I'm glad you said it, is that, there are a lot of players actually that are getting into this game. Someone mentioned, Sarah Evans actually mentioned on Facebook the other day, she said, "Hey, the Star Wars Destiny Facebook group has like 20% more people than it did at the beginning of the year." And it's like, where are these people coming from? Right.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Uh, but you're right. There are a lot of us that did not play in the first set, the first cycle. And so I totally agree. It's so fortunate for us, the ignorance of not having played back then. These are like new cards. It's like a new set. Obviously, there's a history and there is some familiarity with some of the cards, but still, you're right. I mean, it was so great to like crack packs and read and be like, what does this do? And try to think of the context you would use it. And it is like a new set. And this is something for both of us. We have covert missions boxes that
Mhm.
are still sealed in their shipping box, in my house because, I want to make sure that we crack those together or we do something where we can both enjoy them. But this is a really good substitute for that because it feels new, right? Spirit of Rebellion is new to you and me, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think the you know next thing to do is just kind of alternate. I'm sure we'll crack open those covert mission boxes, and take a breather into the modern game, I guess you could call it, and then we'll go back
Bounce
to these
back.
old boxes. Yeah, bounce back. It's a lot of fun.
Well, awesome. Well, we're running on time. This has been great. But speaking of covert missions, and speaking as we reach the end of the show, I have a covert missions pack to crack. Are you up for it?
Sure. Yeah, let's do
Awesome.
it.
Hey,
Can't
you're
I
like,
can't see it. I can't see it, but
I know you can't see it, so you just have to trust what I say.
yeah, you could
Uh,
just be lying.
Right, so I want to give a shout out. I bought this pack for me, but I recently placed an order with Kingwood Hobbies. Trey at Kingwood Hobbies does such a good thing for the Destiny community. He had his dice pools, which you and I have some early prototypes of the dice pools. He has some newer versions, and he put them on sale recently for $10 a piece. And so I ordered that. I ordered a couple of other cards. Greg, you didn't know this, but I ordered my own Elite Bo Katan because I've seen you kick my butt so many times with
Oh,
Bo
that's
Katan.
disappointing.
So yeah, so I ordered my own Bo Katan, and I picked up a couple of boxes, not boxes, excuse me. I picked up a couple of packs of covert missions, and so here's one of those. Honestly, I've only cracked one other pack of covert missions, and that was the last episode a month ago. And so this is the second pack of covert missions that I'm opening. Let's see what we get.
All right.
It is a red die. I can tell you that. And all right, it is not a legendary because that would not be par for the course. But the rare card is Commander Pyre's Blaster. Do you know who Commander Pyre is, Greg?
I do not. Is this a Rebels thing that I
It,
that
not even Rebels. This is a Resistance thing. So the most recent two-season cartoon
Oh,
on Disney is Resistance, and so Commander Pyre is a imagine a stormtrooper in gold, and not silver like Phasma, but gold, and that
oh,
is
so I've seen this character. Yes, in
yes.
Destiny. Okay, got it.
Right. So here you go. So it is a red villain upgrade weapon. It is two cost. The die sides are +2 ranged, +2 ranged, +3 ranged, one disrupt, one resource, and a blank. And the text reads: After you play this upgrade on Commander Pyre, you may take control of the battlefield. So it's got some of that nice trooper synergy, but only two cost, right? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's a contrast, like we are talking about Spirit of Rebellion. Everything was so expensive. Like all the upgrades just felt really expensive. But this is a two cost gun. It doesn't have any like, I mean, there are three modified sides, so that's a little scary. But two costs, that's not bad. The uncommon is Treason. It is a two cost blue villain event. Spot a blue character to remove an opponent's character die showing damage. Then that opponent deals damage to one of their characters equal to the value showing on that die.
Oof.
What do you think?
I mean, it sounds good.
Yeah, so you spend 2,
Be a spin too,
and
yeah.
you gotta spend 2, and then you can remove a character die showing damage. So, usually it's gonna be a 1 or a 2 probably. Then that opponent deals damage to one of their characters equal. So you're removing die, you're removing a threat from you, and you're basically
We've
punching it in the face of your
yeah, we've
opponent.
we've we've talked about this before about if it removes the die as well, it's worth it.
Yep. Yeah.
Because if it's
It's
one of
pretty
those
good.
ones where you can just deal damage that's showing on a die, then and the die stays, not as worth it.
Right.
So,
This is good. I mean, it is character die, so it's not like you could throw a Maul's lightsaber back at someone, but still, that's pretty good. This is a card you need for your Palp Battle Droid deck, right?
that's
That's pretty nice.
true.
All right, so the 3 common cards. The first one up is Entropic Blast. I hope I spelled that. Yeah, it's like entropy,
Tropic,
right? So entropic,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Uh, it's a 2 cost, another Velen blue event. Deal 2 damage to each character that has 1 or more of its character dice in the pool. Holy cow. Wow. So deal do 2 damage to each character that has 1 or more of its character dice in the pool.
Every
I
character.
like this. Yeah, every character. It could be yours, but man, I like that. If they're gonna leave their dice laying around the pool, this is something that you could, hit them in the face with.
Mhm.
And I like that a lot. All
Yeah,
right.
it's fun.
The next one is, I think this may be one from last time. It is Taken by Surprise, a yellow neutral event, 0 cost, features a Trandoshan as the artwork. Deal 1 damage to a ready character or spot a mission plot to deal 2 damage to a diceless character.
Ooh,
So there you go.
oh, wait, I'm sorry, how much is that one?
0
Oh, I like that.
free. Yeah. So it's
That's
guaranteed 1
awesome.
damage for a ready character. Or you could, if you spot a mission, you can deal 2 damage to a diceless. So the youngling is going down. Last, oh, this this last card also features Commander Pyre on the artwork. It is Taking Charge. It is a red 1 cost villain event. It has ambush. If you control the battlefield, remove a die. If you do not control the battlefield, take control of it, and you may re-roll a die. So there you go. So it seems like obviously it has Pyre on the art. If you run it with Pyre, that's probably good. But yeah, so if you control the battlefield, you can remove a die for 1, and it has ambush. If you do not, you can take control of the battlefield and re-roll a die, yours or an opponent's, and it still has ambush. So that's not terrible, right?
No, it's not terrible.
Well, there you go. So covert missions. That's it. I'm up 2 packs to 0 on top of you, Greg. There we go.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I still haven't cracked up an any. I'm jealous.
Well, Greg, thanks again for taking time out of your day to do this. This is fun. I really, hopefully, listener, you can hear how much we've enjoyed our kind of Spirit of Rebellion. I almost said Spark of Hope. Spirit of Rebellion kind of play through the box. Yes, lots of fun, and I know that we can't really get together and we can't roll dice in person, but maybe there's an opportunity to roll some virtual dice or even roll some real dice over Zoom. But if you're still interested in Destiny, there's still Destiny to be played. I think that is for sure. So, Greg, any final thoughts on the evening?
I probably should have prepared something, but no, I'm pretty blank. I feel like I've said everything needs to be said. I had a blast as always, and it was always good rehashing the recent games with you. So hopefully we'll do it again soon.
It's always good when I don't lose them all, right? So I won the first one, crushed in the second two, but then I managed to win at least the first box battle, so that was good. So yeah, it's not like I got destroyed. So that's always fun. So, all right, hey everyone, I know just hang in there, keep doing what you're doing. Please stay safe. Please be responsible, and if you get a chance, play some jank, roll some dice, have some fun. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.